Hi, welcome to this edition of On Tap, presented by FCSI The Americas. I'm Wade Kaler, Executive Director. On Tap this week, we welcome a relatively new member to FCSI The Americas, who I'm really excited to get to know myself. Please help me welcome Principal at Ricca Design Group, Mr. Phillip Landgraf. Hi, Phillip. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Before we get started, do you prefer to go by Phil or do you go by Phillip?
I literally have no preference. People ask me all the time. They say, you've got to have one, but I have no preference whatsoever.
So yeah, you do realize the next conference you come to for FCSI, we're going to put both of them on your name badge just as a joke. So then everybody walks up, it's going to be Phillip.
Okay.
Or Phillip.
Isn't he a singer?
Phillip Phillips was American Idol winner.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good company, actually. I guess if we're going to screw something up, that'll be a good one for you.
Hey, I am sensitive about, I have two L's in my name, and it does bother me when somebody spells it wrong, though. I got to say, people that use one L, I judge them.
I understand. I get the, believe it or not, you'd be surprised how many people use the word Wade with a Y, W-A-Y-D-E. And I don't know where that comes from, but it happens quite frequently to me. So that's a pet peeve of mine as well. It's four letters. It's pretty self-explanatory. So
I would think so. Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about your background, how you got started, where you come from and everything else, and how you got into food service consulting.
So I was born in Buffalo, New York, lived in Maine, Florida for a long time, graduated high school in Florida, started working in restaurants while I was in Florida, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that I looked at culinary school. So I went to Johnson & Wales University. I visited their Providence campus, Miami, Denver, and chose Denver because it was a smaller campus. It was brand new at the time. So I went to Johnson & Wales. And while I was there, I got my associates in culinary arts and my bachelor's in food service management. Okay. One of my electives was a food service facility design class, in which David Chislett, one of our executive principals at Ricca, was the instructor. So met him. I was a TA and a fellow at Johnson & Wales, and I got to design some of the expansion of the culinary arts program. So I had a little bit of insight into design and expressed some interest in there. And so while he was teaching, he also brought in, he was working at William Caruso and Associates at the time. Yeah. He brought in Bill Caruso, introduced me and said, I have a student that's interested in working. And so that's how I got into it and started working at Caruso Associates for a number of years. And then after about 10 years, made the transition over to Ricca.
Wow, very nice. That's two really good firms to be involved with too. And also two different ones too, right? Because Caruso obviously does a lot of specialties, but they have a little bit more specialty in certain parts versus Ricca that does a lot more in other segments of the industry. So what of all of those you've done, what are your kind of specialties or what segments do you either prefer to work in more or which ones do you end up working in more?
Sure. I love diversity. Working at Caruso, I had a pretty wide portfolio of what I did. My claim for fame there was working on the Madison Square Garden renovation project. So great project. It was like 5 years of my life that we did that because it was constructed during all the off season. So a lot of phases involved. So I love stadiums and arenas, but moving over to Ricca, I started in our studio doing a lot more higher ed work. I've diversified our portfolio a lot more. So we still do a bunch of higher ed, but I love doing work in the corporate business, sports and arenas, higher ed, and healthcare as well. So I really like diversification.
Well, kudos to the convention center at Madison Square Gardens, because that's an amazing place. Yeah. Maybe that's going to be the answer to the next question, but what is the favorite one maybe you've had, whether it's a small or large, or what's one that you finished and you were most proud of?
That one's the one that'll, I can always point back to, I think, is MSG. They don't call it the world's most famous arena for nothing. Yeah. But I do love some of the other projects I've worked on in the hospitality industry. It's taken me a lot of interesting places like the Virgin Islands and Hawaii and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say MSG is probably my namesake, but I love a lot of projects I've done.
Very good. What's you've mentioned a lot of names already, which is some pretty big names in the industry. So who has been, and maybe it's not even an industry to be honest with you, who's been your biggest influence in your life?
Sure. Well, I would have to say, like my mom, to be honest, my parents were divorced, and she always had to work very hard, and so I was, for the most part, raised by her. Still have a great relationship with my dad, but she gave me my work ethic, and I always try to outwork everyone that I work with, and whatever it takes. I think working in the hospitality industry, you have that do whatever it takes attitude, and
Yeah.
that really lends itself well to our business.
Yeah. What's one thing about Philip that nobody would ever guess? What's this little, maybe a little trick or hobby or something like that that they would look at you and go, I would never be able to guess that about you.
Sure. Well, I mean, I would say, I was valedictorian in my high school, so I've always been kind of a nerd. But the one thing that people are surprised to hear is like my music selection. I like pretty heavy metal kind of rock stuff. So
Really?
Linkin Park is one of my favorite bands. It's not for everyone's taste, but I
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah. Very good. I like that. I'm a big Linkin Park fan as well, so I like that.
Nice.
What is we've all at some point make a little mistake in our career or in a project or something. What's been your greatest screw up that you've done, and little oopsie, if you will?
Hmm. Biggest screw up. Wow. Well, I certainly think that's where you learn the most.
Yeah.
I would have to say, there's a particular project we were working with on a restaurant chain. They're in a couple airports. They have a few freestanding locations, and while we took on the project when we were just so busy, and they had a schedule that was really aggressive, and so probably just didn't make enough time for them and give
Yeah.
them the attention that they deserve. So eventually we parted ways. So that one always kind of haunts me, and I think about
Yeah.
it a lot. And so it reminds me to make sure that I give everyone the attention that they deserve.
Yeah. Well, you segued into my follow up, which is what did you learn from that? So
Sure.
what do you do differently now that you've learned from that?
I try to check in. I think the
Yeah.
worst thing you can do is silence. So if someone sends you an email or a phone call, make sure you get back to them within 24 hours.
Yeah.
If nothing else, just tell them, hey, got your email. It's going to take me a little while, but I'm working on it. It's on my radar. That gives them a lot of peace of mind that you're not just, it didn't get lost, or that you're ignoring them, because that's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, I have the same philosophy. It's even if I don't have a clue what the answer is, at least acknowledge the fact that I've got it and I'm working on it. In today's email world, sometimes you don't know whether it even went through. So to get that
Yep.
acknowledgement, at least you know that it's been seen.
Yep.
If somebody was getting into, I mean, you came straight out of college into this industry. What's one piece of advice you give to somebody that they're thinking about becoming a food service consultant?
I would say ask questions. I mean,
Yeah.
all the folks in here in the hospitality industry, they want to help out each other. Everyone is glad to, answer any questions you have, help you out, help your education and your growth in the industry. So just ask as many questions as you can. I'm of the thought that there are no dumb questions. If
Yeah.
you have that question, there's more than likely that someone else in the room has the exact same question. They're just afraid to ask it.
Absolutely. And you never know where that dumb question or quote unquote dumb question it leads to.
Oh,
Sometimes
for
that
sure.
simple question leads into something a lot more complicated that everybody learns from, even though it started from somewhere of an innocent area. So
Oh, yeah.
I love that idea. What are three things that your friends or family may say about you? If I was to call them up and ask them, what's Philip like?
I would say very loyal. I don't have a huge group of friends, but the ones I do are very close and dear to me. Um, I would say he's a good cook. We
Yeah,
are always, almost all the time, we're the ones hosting. I met my
nice.
wife in culinary school as well, so we both are trained chefs, and so we eat very well in my house, too well at times. And let's see, a third thing. Just good dad, I guess. I'm close with my daughter. One of the things we just did since she was born, basically, I take her birthday off every year. Take
Nice.
that day off and spend the day with her. It's a daddy daughter day. Enjoy it very much. So I just try to keep that good relationship with her, and hope that continues on as she grows up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. hopefully it will. I agree. It's one of the kids are an amazing thing in your life. So I agree. And so I have to ask then, what is, if you're both trained chefs, what is your and your wife's like go-to meals in a hurry? What's the thing you get home and you love and you know you can cook up pretty quickly?
Our go-to meal in a hurry. Let's see. I would say for me, I love making breakfast for dinner. So,
Oh,
whether it's, eggs and potatoes, pancakes, waffles, whatever it is, it's fun, it's different, and it sort of mixes things up. For my wife, I would say she does a lot of stir fries. Curry is probably her thing that she'll,
okay.
just when we don't know what we're doing, we've always have coconut milk and curry paste in the house, and so we'll whip up a curry and some rice, and we enjoy it very much.
I love the idea of breakfast. I'm a huge fan of breakfast at dinner.
Yeah.
With my my family growing up with my kids and such, I at least once a month, if not once every couple weeks, it was breakfast for dinner. Just something about breakfast. I probably could eat scrambled eggs, toast, and bacon 3 times a day and be happy. I
Yeah.
think.
Well, people ask, what's the one thing you would eat, if you had to eat one thing
Yeah,
forever? I always say eggs because it's just so versatile and there's so many ways you
yeah.
can do it. And I love them. So yeah.
Is there a like a personal mantra or saying that you live by? Do you have any kind of thing that you like cling to every day?
Um, I won't say it's a personal mantra or anything, but I always think back to, in my school career, we had to like in English class, like do a book cover and put a
Oh
quote on there.
yeah.
And so it's not a mantra, but I would say it applies to a lot of situations. And it's a quote by Tom Lehrer, who's a satirist from the 20s or 30s, I think. Really funny guy. And he said, "Life is like a sewer. You get out of it what you put into it." So while that's kind of a gross thing to say and think about, it's really true. Life
Yeah.
is what you put into it. So you got to work
Yeah.
hard and do your best, and then you're rewarded at the end of the day.
Absolutely. If you hadn't chosen a career as a food service consultant, I think I know the answer to this, but what do you think you would have done?
I would say probably chef.
Yeah.
I realized definitely in culinary school, like I'm a very good cook. I probably wouldn't have been a great chef, so that's
Yeah.
why I really appreciate the pathway that I took and the opportunities that Johnson Wells gave me, and so I think that's probably what I would have done. I've definitely looked at other industries and said, man, if I could have gotten into that on the ground floor, that where it would have put you
Yeah.
today. But I love what I do and I love cooking. So definitely probably would have stayed in the hospitality industry.
So speaking of Johnson and Wales, I have to. I love to figure out. I've moved around a lot. My wife and I have as well, and so I have to find out like what drew you to. I mean, I know you said a new school, but you're talking about from Maine to Florida to Denver, 3 completely different, not only atmospheres and weather related, but also topography and everything else. What made you come out to Denver of all places?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Johnson Wales is a school in Florida, so
Yeah,
folks ask
yeah.
why don't you go to Miami, and I was like, well, first of all, Florida is like way too hot and humid for me. I don't enjoy the weather there. I was in sort of a suburb of Tampa, a town called
Okay.
Land O'Lakes, so
Yeah.
smaller town. My high school class was like 300, so it wasn't huge. And Denver offered a smaller community, like
Yeah.
our graduating class was I think 300 or so. So it's a similar size, comfort
Yeah.
level. The idea that you could go into these brand new kitchens that,
Yeah.
when I went out there to visit the campus, they weren't even done yet, weren't even built.
Oh
My
wow.
first day of culinary school, we were unwrapping, it was mixology. So we were doing bartender training, and we were unwrapping glasses and filling empty bottles of liquor with food coloring and water so that we could practice our drink making and stuff like that. So it was really an opportunity to grow something from the ground up, and I really appreciated that because a bit of an introvert,
Yeah.
so it forced me to get out there and meet new people and whatnot. So I really appreciate that choice. Unfortunately, the campus is closing this
Yeah.
year, so that's a real shame. But great memories there, and definitely lifelong friendships that I made.
When you get ready to travel to a client, what are the 3 must-haves you have to take with you?
Cell phone charger, a tape measure, and what would be the other thing that I always travel with? I cannot live without my noise canceling Bose headphones.
Okay.
I don't know what travel was like before that, but actually, I won them in a raffle at NAFM, I think, and I was always like, yeah, it's a luxury. It wasn't like an expense I wanted to do, and so I won them. And man, I would not give them up or trade them for the world right now. I love having those on an airplane.
I can tell you from experience what it was like before those, and that would be a 13-hour flight from Hong Kong to Chicago, nonstop, with 2 crying babies in my section of the plane before noise canceling headphones.
That is a nightmare.
It was brutal.
Yeah,
brutal.
nightmare.
When you get into a mental roadblock, what kind of, and things just aren't quite working, you can't quite figure that out. Do you have any weird tricks or things to do to break that?
Definitely try to walk away from it. Put on, usually turn on some like loud music to kind of clear my head and think about it. I oftentimes will put it down, move on to something else, and then like I'm the person that like wakes up in the middle of the night and is like, oh my god, that's what I need to do, and then I have to like go do it. And if I'm really tired and I forget, then by the time I wake up, I totally forgot what it was. So I have to do it right then, or I'll never remember it.
Very good. Very good. Well, that's all the questions I've got for you today, Phillip. But before we let you go, as we did in season 1, we always like to end on a little fun note. So I've got a set of would you rather questions, and we'll just jump right into them. Would you rather tell bad knock-knock jokes for the rest of your life to everyone you meet, or talk about yourself in the third person?
I would say talk about myself in the third person.
Okay.
They're both odd, but one would be less annoying.
Oh, if you think that's odd, just wait. I got more. Would you rather be famous as a musician or a comedian?
Comedian.
Right. Would you rather vacation in a luxury penthouse or in the remote wilderness?
Luxury penthouse.
Would you rather ride the scariest roller coaster in the world or bungee jump off the tallest bridge in the world?
Roller coaster. I would not bungee jump.
All right. Eat a bowl full of jelly beans or a bowl full of Skittles?
Probably Skittles. If they were Jelly Belly jelly beans, however, those are the only ones that are worth anything.
Okay. Would you rather know all the secrets to space or secrets of the ocean?
Secrets of space. There's a lot more out there.
Would you rather never do laundry again or never have to do the dishes again?
I don't have a problem with both, so I guess probably dishes I like less than laundry. Our rule is whoever cooks doesn't have to do dishes. So
you cook a lot,
that
right?
works so well. No, unfortunately, my wife, she's a teacher. She gets home before me, so she usually does the weekdays and I do the weekends.
Okay. Eat the most expensive dessert or drink the most expensive champagne in the world?
Champagne by far. I'm not a dessert guy.
All right. Would you rather listen to the same song 24 hours on repeat or watch the same movie for a week?
Probably the song.
Be more technologically inclined or better with people?
Better with people. I think I'm all right with technology.
Okay. Would you rather give up coffee or soda for a year or go without brushing your teeth for a year?
Well, giving up soda is no problem because I don't really drink soda. Okay. I give up coffee. Yeah. Okay. Not brushing your teeth is gross.
Would you rather fight 3 half-size clones of yourself or 1 full-size clone of yourself?
Probably 1 full size.
All right, perfect.
At least you can face them head on.
Good point. Well, Phillip, tell us how people can find out more about you and your firm.
Sure. Well, folks can reach us on our website, www.ricca.com, RICCA.com. My email's Landgraf, LANDGRAF @ricca.com. Folks can always call me on my cell. My number's on the website as well. Okay. Feel free to reach out at any time.
That wraps up this edition of On Tap, presented by FCSI the Americas. If you've enjoyed today's episode, help us spread the word. Ring the bell and make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Check back next week when we feature another FCSI consultant. But until then, cheers.